Hello, everyone, and welcome to the best and worst of Walt Disney World, brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Disney vacation. Please be sure to visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. I am your host, Rhino Clavin, and in this week's episode, we are going to be talking about the best ways that we can keep you dry. Not we, it's up to you to do it yourself, that you can stay dry at Walt Disney World. And to have this conversation with me, I've got Denny Sunderly.
Hey there.
Jackie Gailey.
Hi, guys.
And that's it. I told Craig to hit the road this week. No, he was editing some videos, and he said he would be on it if we needed to. But I like to give Craig a break whenever he can get one, because he definitely needs one. So so we were thinking we're tiptoeing into the beginning of the rainy season here in Orlando, Florida, and I thought it would be a good episode to kind of we can give you our tips and tricks and what we do to kind of keep ourselves as dry as possible in the theme parks, because there is nothing worse for me personally than squishy shoes. I absolutely hate it.
Worst.
Yeah, and my first tip for that, I'll go first here, and then Denny can tell hers, because I was like, what a great idea when she told me about when I was a cast member, we used to do this, like whenever it'd start to rain, I would take grocery bags, like plastic bags, like Target, Publix, whatever, and I would put my feet in them and then put my shoes on over it, and then I would rip the part of the bag that was coming out of the shoe off. Or, you can be a little more eloquent and cut it off or whatever, but I don't know where you're getting scissors in the theme park.
Right.
But make it ahead of time, or just walk around with them on all day like that. But it might be a little bit warm, but I will tell you, it will keep your socks dry, and that can make all the difference. I don't care how wet the shoe is, as long as my sock is dry, it's fine with me. But Denny suggested doing this when you go on an attraction.
Yeah. So on one of our vacations down here, our eldest wanted to go on Cali River Rapids on our Animal Kingdom Day. And I was the only one out of the family who was willing to go on this with him, for the simple fact of what you said, Rhino. Squishy shoes are not fun. And so I had packed a couple of those Target bags in my park bag for the day. And when it was time to go on Cali River Rapids, we sat down in the raft, all took our seats. I had my bags ready to go. I slapped one bag around one shoe and tied it at the top, and the same. So I looked ridiculous, but my shoes were dry for the rest of the day. And I got to have that moment with my son, and it was so much fun. So that's my little tip. Now, am I going to go tromping around a park with bags tied around my shoes? No.
I did this when I would visit home at Christmas, and there was a snowstorm, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't bring I have weather resistant Chucks. And I don't know why I had forgotten them that trip. And I would do the plastic bags. It doesn't work as well in snow. You will slip and slide everywhere. So I don't recommend it for snow, but yeah. With that said, too, we also were saying ponchos from home can be a great idea. I know it seems so simple, and we've said it on the show before, but if you go to the dollar store or Target or somewhere, you can definitely get ponchos for a fraction of the price that you're going to buy them for in the theme park, right?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the theme park ponchos are definitely a higher quality, and they're going to last you a couple of different visits. But if you don't want to shell out that much money for every member of your park touring party, then absolutely bring those dollar store ponchos with you. Grab a handful of them.
Yeah.
And that way, if they get ruined, or if you don't feel like schlepping around the park with a wet poncho after that inevitable, thunderstorm in the afternoon happens and goes, then you can toss it if you want to. But yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's a cool souvenir to have the park's poncho, but it can also be pricey.
Yeah, it's like, is the Mickey on the back worth like the 10 extra bucks? Or
right.
I'll paint it on at home or something. But you also, I know, Jackie, you had said before about bringing a bag to store it in as well when it's done being used. You do that, right?
We did. Yeah. So those drawstring bags that we have so many of, they're nylon. And so they're super easy to just, they just dry out like nothing. Plus, you can squish it right into a pocket of your backpack. and it's just in there ready to shove all the wet stuff in, because there's nothing worse than taking off wet ponchos and having nowhere to put them. And that's especially important. I mean, worst case scenario, we would ask at one of the stores for a bag, but a lot of the stores don't have those now.
Well,
So
yeah, I don't know if this has happened to any of you either, but the Disney parks, the bag that's like the blue one or purple, if you kind of are holding that and it gets wet or you twist it too much, the ink starts to come off in the bag. I had it where it was like all over my hand one day. And then once it starts coming off, it won't stop coming off. So I get very weary about putting it in one of those and then in the bag. But a lot of times they have the clear bags they'll give you. But yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we only did it once where we didn't bring bags, and then after that, always had it.
Yeah. You're also saying, and I mean this, it feels like some of these are going to be like common sense, but umbrellas are a must-have. And Jackie brought up in our conversation ahead of time about compact umbrellas, the smaller kind, and this is why, like, I wish, I know Loungefly is starting to make the ones more common with the pockets on the side of the backpack. I always have an umbrella on one side and a water bottle on another side. And on whatever ones have those outside pockets, because then even if the umbrella kind of gets wet, at least you can either put it in a bag, or sometimes the umbrellas have those like sealable bags. You can just slide it in there. So
yes.
Yeah. So
that's a great, because that's the thing. You need them to be compact so that they're not taking up a ton of room in your stuff that you're lugging around with you all day.
Yeah.
But you also need a place to put them when they're full of rain.
Having an umbrella. Having an umbrella in the parks, it makes a world of difference when
it does.
All of a sudden it's just not all falling on your head. I mean, when you're wearing a poncho, yes, but you're still just getting pelted by rain. So keeping it off of your head is just a great thing. I do the same thing, Rhino. I put it in the outside pocket, those two side pockets. That's
why I feel like they're a necessity. You have to have both, because that's what the water bottle sweats and the umbrella will be wet, and it keeps, sometimes it might seep on the side. But I was going to say too, if you're not a backpack carrying person, I would recommend maybe getting one of those carabiner clips. They sell these usually in like the camping section or something. A lot of people already have them, because I know when I was in school, it was really big to put your keys on them and stuff like that, because it's easier just to clip your keys onto your belt, and like, why not just do it for your umbrella and your, like, you can even get like a little sunglasses case or something like that. So I think that's one of those I always have those just in case too. If it's something that extra that you get that you want to clip the merchandise bag onto your backpack, the loop for the hook, like I'll clip sometimes on there, and then that way you're not carrying it if the backpack's full or something. So I recommend those either way. So
those are handy.
Yeah. And they're not that much either. And usually they come in more than one a pack, right? So
different colors, all the fun.
Yeah, exactly. So another important thing to keep in mind too is that some days you're going to come here and it will be bright blue, not a cloud in the sky, and then by 2:00 in the afternoon, it is darker than it will be at night with the stars in the sky. So, we cannot underestimate the importance of, if you're already using My Disney Experience, so you already have that phone with you, it's just kind of every now and then just checking in on that radar, because even if you ask, your robot that lives in your house, I don't want to say its name because it'll start talking to me downstairs, but that even if you ask her or Google or wherever, it can change so rapidly. There are so many times it'll be like, no rain is expected today, and then like 20 minutes later I'm like, that's like a lightning cloud coming in that looks like I live in the house from Poltergeist, and it's coming overhead. So checking in on that's a really good idea. And we were talking about too, Denny and I were saying that being prepared, if you don't want to stay in the park when the rain is coming, you can't wait until, don't kind of back yourself into a corner with when you can leave, because it happens so fast here that if you see it's even coming, that's maybe the time to take the break, right? Go back to the resort or something.
Yeah, if you have a mode of transportation that you are expecting to need to hit in order to get back to where you want to be during that rainstorm, then yes, as soon as you start to see the clouds form, that's your cue.
Yeah.
You gotta go to the next phase here of your plan. And like you were saying, Rhino, I mean, it can look one way in the morning and then completely different in the afternoon. And it's like we have two separate days all in the span of 24 hours. So so yes. And if you're coming in the summer, and I know a lot of families, you for a myriad of reasons, that is just the easiest time for you to be here. And don't let the rain spoil your fun, but know it's going to happen.
Yes.
It'll likely happen. Like it didn't rain the other day, and that was noted. Like I looked out the window and went, oh wow, we had a day where it didn't rain. This is a big deal, because that's just what this season is like.
Yeah.
Down here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the biggest thing. And you can't let it ruin your day. So you just have to know that it's going to be there and make your plans around it, because it's going to come.
Well,
and so the more prepared you are.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah. And the one of the frustrating things can be where you've maybe waited a few minutes too long, and let's say you're like leaving Magic Kingdom and you've gotten on the monorail or the ferry boat and it drops you off and then it opens up. And there's nothing harder than being like, I was so close. So it's just always about giving yourself that amount of time. Remember, it's not whatever park you're in. It's not as easy as just being like, okay, I'm leaving right now. It's like you have to have had that thought about 10 to 15 minutes ago. So, but then like you guys said too, it'll be sunshine again with no clouds in the sky later. But my tip is, the second you can feel that wind picking up, and if you even feel a gust of air temperature change in the air, it is going to rain. So make your preparations when that starts happening. Working outside at Walt Disney World for as long as I have, I feel like has turned me into like one of those divining rods in the desert about rain. Like I can feel it. But Jackie had a great recommendation too earlier about dining reservations.
Yeah. So what we used to do is we would make like super early reservations for when we used to all fly in from Seattle. We used to eat at one table service restaurant a day, and all the other noshing and whatever we did was either at a quick service place or back at our villa. So we would make a reservation kind of when we knew it was going to be rainy in Florida. So it's because we knew that it would just be in buckets for a couple of hours at the most. And that's about as long as it takes to do a table service meal sometimes. So, we'd make like a 3:00 or 3:30, whatever we could do like super early, and get in there and when it was in a theme park. And then that way we would have a place to go. We would be over by wherever that was, when the rain started coming, because usually it hits about the same time every afternoon.
Yeah.
And I mean, give or take a little bit, obviously, but we always did that. And it fortunately worked out great, and we had a place to go, because a lot of times people will gather in the front entrances of restaurants and stores and things, and cast members are, kind of asking you to move along because they need to clear the space for people to come in. So we always were real happy about having those reservations during the time where we knew it was just going to be crazy.
Yeah.
That's so smart. And you can, along those same lines, you can always jump into a show, save Festival of the Lion King for the afternoon, just in case you need, or, whatever it is, fill in the blanks, but go see Finding Nemo the musical and let the rain happen outside so that you have just a little bit of a respite. And you're not a part of the monsoon. But I loved the idea that you said, Jackie, with the ADRs in the afternoon.
And Denny made a really good point too, is about saving those indoor attractions to like the mid to later part of the day. Just in knowing that maybe even with the dining reservation, you might still have a little bit more time to kill. So it's just something that like those will still be going. So you got a solid bet to save it for then. I'm sure everybody is going to the outdoor stuff right away in the morning. But or I don't know what I'm saying. I just reversed what I said. But
it was fantastic.
Forget it.
It was perfect. One of my most favorite afternoons was the very first time we ate at Teppanyaki in the Japan Pavilion. because the shop was so long. So here we have this reservation. And so we just shopped and shopped and shopped all the way down that whole store. And then we went upstairs and had a lovely dinner, and it was just perfect. It was that's a
really good one to do the dining. That's pretty smart, doing the dining and the shopping in that one for that midday area.
Yeah, it was so great because the experience is longer in that restaurant because they're doing all the things right in front of you. And so it tended to be a little bit longer than, some of the other ones. And it was really, really cool because you want to take your time in that store. They have so many really cool things that you've never seen before, like bunny ear hats for your kitty and such. It's very fun.
Every now and then they'll have little corgi stuff in there, so I like to always go through and look for stuff. But we also had another recommendation. I mean, I think this is really important, whether it's going to rain or not or anything like that, because sometimes I'm just a filthy, gross mess and sweating so much that I like to have like an emergency T-shirt with me. And you would be surprised how much just changing your shirt around 4 or 5 p.m. can really change your mood around, that you're getting out of that, like when it's really humid, maybe it did rain and you got a little wet, or you're just sweaty, or just, whatever, just having that fresh pair of clothes is really nice. And, I know Denny, you were saying, and Jackie, you were saying about throwing in some extra socks in there, everything, if you've managed to keep your shoes dry. I was saying too, throw some sandals in your backpack. And when it does, if you get caught in the rain, switch out into the sandals and then put the shoes back on after, but, or just bring an extra pair of shoes or something like that. But
exactly.
Yeah. Like if you have flip-flops that aren't slippery, depending on the kind of flip-flops that you wear, like I live in flip-flops and I don't like the feeling of the leather strap on the top when it gets wet, but my feet on the bottom don't slip in these flip-flops. So if you have, if you're a flip-flop person, then those shove into the side pockets real easy too.
Yeah,
that's true.
Inside,
that's a good point.
But,
Yeah. Everybody has different shoes that they want, footwear that they want to wear in the parks. My husband swears by flip-flops in the rain. If there's rain on the radar, he's throwing on his flip-flops. I am just a tennis shoe person all the time. I just want sneakers on. And so, that extra dry pair of socks helps out big time. Just even knowing that they're in the backpack can just provide a little comfort.
Well, you know what I actually do is I'll keep a pair of shoes in my trunk and they just stay in my trunk. I was doing that because of like softball and things, because my cleats are in there too. But like having those socks, knowing the socks are in there too, is like, okay, even if my feet get wet, when I go to leave, at least when I get in the car, I can change it out. So it's like just that, like if you have a secondary location you're going to, although they say never go to the secondary location, right? But like it just makes that difference. Even if you're just going home, driving home, having that air conditioner on while you're soaked to the bone is not fun. And
with
so
your
you're
little
just like,
pruny toes.
And you're just like freezing to death in the car, shaking, but you can't turn the air conditioner off because then the window fogs out, and you're like,
why did I do this to myself?
Exactly. So I always recommend the emergency shoes in the trunk. I also think my thing is, and Craig makes fun of me all the time for this, but then sometimes he'll need it and he'll say, "You were right." Ziploc bags are going to be your best friend. So what I do is I'll have a variety of sizes. So we talked about the poncho earlier, that would be like the gallon sized, or they make one even bigger than a gallon. It's like the extra large or something like that. But I'll buy like those ones. I buy the ones that are just like normal snack sizes because they're perfect for just like sliding the cell phone into. You could do a little bit bigger. Some people want the big ones or whatever. I am obsessive with things having places to sit and be. So I like to have a little bit of variety because like this one's specifically for the poncho. This one is specifically for the wallet and the AirPods. This one is for my cell phone. And I know that might be too much for some and they just want a big bag, but I'm telling you, extra food, throw it in there. I'm that guy. I'll take an extra muffin from a buffet. I don't care. Even if we don't have buffets anymore, I'll find one and I'll take it. But phone, wallets, whatever. I'm sure you've all used plastic bags in this way before.
Oh, yes.
For
oh
sure.
gosh, they're the best.
For
Yeah.
sure. And
Yeah.
and there's a myriad, like you're saying, there's just a myriad of ways to use them. And even if you're eating a snack, you get a chocolate croissant, you're only eating half of the time, pop the rest of that in the Ziploc bag and you've got a snack for later. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if you're going to a dessert party.
Oh, yeah. Smart. Yeah.
Because the people that clean up at the end, they're like, oh, hey, do you want to take some of these? And you're like, darn it, I wish I had some Ziploc bags. And I would totally
it's
do
one of
that.
those things where I'm telling you, the next day in your hotel room or wherever you are, when you're just like, oh, there's no breakfast here. I don't want to go to breakfast. I don't want to do this whole thing. Like you start in that day, having that in the hotel room, for me, is like a game changer. Or sometimes it's like late at night and you're like, I just want a little nibble of something. But
Yep.
And then finally, we have one last one here. We talked about all these things require you having a backpack, and Denny brought up a great point about the backpack.
Yeah, so I recently had to buy a new backpack. Like I like to keep my backpacks, and we all do. We use them. We get as much use out of them as possible. But when it came time to buy my new backpack, I needed to look for something that was water resistant. And for me personally, for work, I'm schlepping a laptop all over the parks all the time. And so I needed to make sure that my laptop stayed dry. But even if you are visiting a park and you're not carrying a backpack filled with a laptop around, you've got a bunch of stuff in there that you don't want to get soaked. And if you're coming in the summer, please have a park bag of some sort that is at least in some part water resistant, because you want it to bead up and roll off. And here's the cool thing. If you're into Vera Bradley, even Vera Bradley. So, so fashion and function going on with Vera, because that's the backpack I ended up with, was the campus backpack in their microfiber, quilted microfiber. So it's water resistant. Plug for Vera Bradley there. I don't know why, but the water will bead up and roll off rather than soak everything, every content in my bag, which that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So I'm a fan of the Loungefly bags because they make so many of these patterns that I enjoy, and they're more of a canvas bag. So they can, like, it's not like the second they get wet, they're going to soak up, but they are going to end up sometimes, like if I were to get really stuck, I wouldn't trust what was inside not to get wet. And so again, that's why I always keep a clear merchandise bag with me in case I have to roll my camera up in it, the Ziploc bags and things like that. But then, God forbid I'm stuck there, you're going to have this wet sack on your back that's just going to be dripping and stuff. So, just keep that in mind when you're deciding on which one of these you get. And I'll say too, pockets are your friend. Pockets are your friend. I like a good division. I like spaces in the bag. I feel like when I go to reach for something in the bag, when I'm overheating, when I'm looking for sunscreen or snack, knowing what pocket it is and what its place is can really help me. And that will come in handy when it's downpouring too, because you know exactly where the umbrella is, where the poncho is, where any of the stuff is that we just mentioned. So if you have any suggestions out there about staying dry in the theme parks, we absolutely would love to hear those, because I am always fascinated with the things that people come up with. And like I said, I will practice them. If it keeps me drier, I love it. So but thank you, Denny and Jackie, for having this conversation with me today. Thank you, everyone out there, for listening and watching. And remember, if you would like to support the show any way that you can, then you can book your next Disney vacation with Dreams Unlimited Travel by visiting the experts over there at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com, and they'll get you started on booking your vacation. And when stuff hits the fan, so to say, whenever in the future, anything like that, you won't be the person stuck on the phone. They will, and it won't cost you anything. So thank you again, everyone out there. We hope you're all staying safe, happy, healthy, and taking care of each other and yourselves during this time. And again, thank you. And we'll see you next time with another episode of The Best and Worst of Walt Disney World.